The new season is finally dawning upon us, and I've picked four key players that I think are crucial if Manchester United are to have success next season. What does success look like to you? Well, to me, obviously next season there's minimum requirements, and I believe Manchester United should be at least in the top four next season to call it a success. And to add to that, I also think that Manchester United should be winning one of the cups, at least again as a minimum Carabao Cup and the FA Cup. Why? Because Manchester United, a key to success or a winning mentality. Well, that's all down to winning things like cups. It was best said by Mourinho. This is how a successful team is built from the bottom. And just because we're Manchester United, it doesn't mean that we shouldn't be winning things like the Carabao Cup. Not just because it's a great day out for the fans, because again, like I said, it builds a winning mentality. And to do that, well, the only way is by having a really good squad, and key players in that squad must perform week in, week out. A certain amount of these players must be the structure, the foundation, a 8 out of 10 each week, making sure, regardless of any other player situation, that these four players that I picked will always come out on top. The consistency has to be there. And the reason why I've chose them is because I reckon, based on injury record, based on their performances, based on what they can do, based on their ceilings, that they will be successful next season, and we will need them to be successful next season. Because again, like I said, you can have one or two players here and there that can go off form, but a certain amount of players have to perform each week to make sure that the level of consistency that we require to win things, to maintain a position at the top of the table, has to happen each week in, week out. So there's no better place to start than I'll start at the top, and that's in the front three position. And the first player that I pick that I believe is key to Manchester United's success next season is Brian Mbuemo. Now, this might to some people be an easy choice, or some people might think should be Benjamin Sesko as the focal point, or even Cunha as the kind of flair player, the maverick, the Eric Cantona type player, the guy that's going to excite teams, or maybe even Ahmad, to come in and maybe take over from one of them front three and build up a really good, you know, some form and start scoring goals and assisting and make that decision really difficult for Michael Carrick to drop. But the way Mbeumo has been playing this preseason, well, he looks sharp. He looks like he's really focused. His fitness levels look really, really high. And I guess, coming off of his first season at Manchester United, 11 goals and 3 assists, that's actually a really good start at a club like Manchester United. He's got a really good record. Well, he did have a really good record at Brentford, scoring them 20 goals in the Premier League season and the assists. Well, I reckon he can only improve on that. Now, obviously, I didn't actually believe that he'll come in his first season and get to the same levels as he did for Brentford. But looking at it and what he produced, especially in that first half of the season, he was magnificent. And I would have to caveat and say that he wasn't quite the same player after he came back from the AFCON. Now, going to a pre-season tournament as difficult as it is as the AFCON, you have to look at the conditions of where they were playing, the teams they were playing, obviously the emotions. This guy was playing for his of these guys were playing for his country. Winning the AFCON is really important to them, just as important is it to European players to win the Euros, and same as the South American players. So it's understandable that he's gone to the AFCON, he's given his all mentally and physically, and to obviously to come out the competition and not win it, it takes effect of a player. And he came back and he scored a few goals, but you could clearly tell in his performances, especially I guess in the last game of the season, sorry, the last home game of the season against Nottingham Forest, where he missed so many chances. Fair enough, some of them were on his wrong foot, but it should have been bread and butter for Mbuemo. And then he did get his goal in the end. However, you could tell that this last part of the season was really a struggle, and the break came at a really good time for him. And to take into account that Cameroon didn't go to the World Cup, well, for him, that's probably a negative. But I guess for a Manchester United, the club, is actually a good thing. Why? Because he got that rest. He got time to relax, refocus, re-energize, and that's why I reckon Embuemo will be a key part because of that rest. Because he's gone away, he's kept fit, he's a real professional, and the way he scores, the amount of goals, his team contributions, the way he plays on the last man, he is going to come back as fit as ever, sharp as ever. And if we're going to be successful, it is going to require a fully focused and a fully fit Brian Mbuemo. I do believe that he will be the key player in that kind of front three, front four. I don't think he'll be rotated much, as in coming off the bench. He may be rotated in regards to the position he plays in the front three. I reckon he will start the season up front through the middle because I don't think Benjamin Sesko will come straight into the team. And that's why I reckon he'll go through the middle. And for a few games, that's fine. When Benjamin Sesko comes back, we all know that Brian and Buemo loves to play off the right. And yes, he'll have that bit of competition with Ahmad, but that's a great thing because, again, Ahmad obviously got knocked out the in similar fashion with the AFCON, didn't win it. Obviously, there was a lot of emotion that went in it for him as well, and he wasn't the same as well. He kind of had a relatively poor season in his contributions with goals and assists, Ahmad. However, when he came on, you can still see that he put in that press. He worked really hard for the team, and he provided, that kind of support on the right that we needed when we needed to make the change. So he will be really good competition for the right side for Mbeumo, and I reckon that's absolutely perfect to have on the right. You want a player like Ahmad to be really forcing the issue, keeping you on your toes, keeping you sharp, because if you go away on international duty and Ahmad stays back, or if Ahmad gets a run of games in the cups and he does well, you know that it'll give the manager a really tough decision to make. And that ultimately is key, giving the manager in any position a real hard decision to make. And that's why you want two really good players in each position. But Embuemo, what I've seen of him over the years, this guy is a Premier League phenom. He is a beast of the Premier League. He loves playing on on the edge, on the last defender, waiting for that through ball. He's got skills. He's got left footed, right footed shot. He can curl it in. He can do the screamers. He can do the tap ins. He's really good at positioning. And that's why having that time off the full preseason, I reckon, is absolutely key for Embuemo. And he'll come back as sharp as ever. And that's why out of all the front four, and again, maybe the front five, if Man United sign that striker for backup of Benjamin Sesko, I reckon he'll be key. The other players I've got really high hopes for. I've got really big expectations for Cunha and Sesko this season. I've also got expectations for Ahmad to come back in there because it's going to be a long season, a lot of competitions. But I reckon in the key competitions, it's going to be really important that Brian Mbeumo stays fit, stays sharp, and keeps playing. And he keeps playing in his favoured position and on the right. Like I said, he'll probably start through the middle in the beginning, but it'll come to the point where he'll get that right hand side to himself. And I reckon the way football is played in the Champions League, he is going to absolutely excel. I see the Champions League perfect for Embuemo. We are going to, I think, Matt, the way Carrick is going to set up, obviously a lot of teams in Europe play a kind of a possession style of football. It's a lot more attacking. Teams express themselves a lot more. I reckon Michael Carrick will play a hybrid style, and Mbeumo will absolutely love this, especially at home. Sorry, especially away. I think Michael Carrick will put out a team to play kind of a mixture between, play a high line, but with a kind of a possession based. Will keep the ball and looking to obviously break the defenses down. With players like Tillemans to open the defense and Bruno Fernandes to play them key passes through. But playing on the counter, don't get me wrong, it may happen during the season against certain teams who will probably be better than at possession than us. But Man United will be set up like that. I think we'll be fluid in attack, fluid in the system, and Brian Mbeumo in the Champions League. That is an absolute hot prospect. I mean, what do people think about that kind of difference between the league performance and the Champions League performance? Do you think he'll excel in one, or do you think he'll be consistent in both? And do you think, just like me, having that break off and not going to the World Cup is key for him? because that reset that he needed? Do you think that was key for him? And was it that him coming back from AFCON, did you also think that it caused him some kind of, drop off in form? Because it was clearly that he was not performing at the levels he did in the first part of the season. Now, don't get me wrong, first season at Manchester United for any player is very difficult. But looking at him and looking at the way he's trained, looking at the preseason, looking at the way how sharp he's getting, I can't see him, digressing. I see him just getting better and better. And he's going into that age where he's getting into his peak. I think Brian Mbuemo is going to be a key player for Manchester United next season. So tell me what you guys think. Is Mbeumo going to be a key player for you guys, or will it be one of the other players? Is it going to be Cunha? Has he got something to prove after coming back from the World Cup quite early? Obviously, Brazil got knocked out in the second phase. Even though he scored a few goals, he was taken off of a few games. Was he fully trusted? Has he got a point to prove? Will it be Benjamin Sesko, the guy that's got a really high ceiling? He's young, he's dynamic, he's looking to, with all the strikers that we've had in the past, he's got a high kind of bar to reach. Will he step up to the challenge? Or will Ahmad come in and just take over from Mbeumo? Go on and run a form that the manager thinks that I can't drop Ahmad. So it'll be interesting to see how it pans out, but exciting nevertheless. So join me on the next video where I'll go through the next player that I think was going to be key to Manchester United's success next season, and that'll be in the midfield position. So I guess thank you very much for watching, and I'll be back.